too if I didn't mention that since that epic conversation with Sean, it's been quite the journey and making tonight happen and making this week happen. So Sean, thank you again for all your efforts. Just as I mentioned during my little kind of introduction a bit, I think face-to-face conversations like these are just absolutely sacrosanct. It's really what makes AWS. It's meetings like this tonight. I would also start off by saying too that thank you all for coming again. We are roughly a 73,000 member worldwide trade association that is really here to promote welding. So thank you all for your commitment to it and for your participation in advancing the science and the processes. Without further ado, I'll get into a bit of the reason why we're here tonight. Topic of my presentation tonight is training the welders for tomorrow with the technology of today. A little bit about me. Again, my name is Efram Ahbram. I'm with the American Welding Society. I've been with the society now for a little over 5 years. I cut my teeth originally in the standards development process, the codes and standards. I was the committee secretary to the resistance welding equipment, automotive, maritime, machinery and equipment, oxy-fuel gas welding, thermal spray committees. So certainly know a thing or two about taking a couple pieces of paper, making them look pretty, putting them through the ANSI approved essential variables, making them official documents, consensus body codes and standards that the American Welding Society puts out. To that effect, I have publication catalogs with roughly the listings of roughly 300 codes and standards that we do put out, all of which are the latest editions, all of which are covered in the catalog with a little 2-3 sentence little blurb about each one of them. I can certainly speak to some of them after tonight's meeting. Certainly throughout the course of my presentation, should you have any questions, just raise your hand and I'll be more than happy to just kind of call you out on them and I can continue the process along that way. Again, my role now is really in the education and promotion of our educational content. Simply put, and I'll show it to you shortly, education is something that we at the Society believe in wholeheartedly. It is certainly something that we want to see folks on the same page, same language, the same symbols, the same type of fundamental information that many of the folks sitting around this room learned when they were students, and now it's kind of passing that baton to the next generation there. On that note, Manufacturing Institute and Deloitte put together a study. This is basically on the skills gap from 2015 moving forward. As we all know, the skills gap and knowledge gap is real. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's getting too much better, but certainly wanted to shed some light on this and obviously help folks kind of understand where we come in, both from a national need and bringing that forward. Right now, there's going to be roughly 3.5 million manufacturing jobs shortage by the year 2025. It's a pretty staggering number. 2 million of those are expected to be unfilled because of the skills gap. Certainly a bold number. This is nationwide. I would also be remiss too if I didn't say that that's not just welders. It's folks in manufacturing. It's the larger scale skilled trade type issue. But to that point, it is certainly something that will affect us all. Regarding that, roughly 240,000 of those 2 million are in the welding trades specific professions, and that's going to be by 2019. So certainly something that is very, very close and near and dear to us. I hope everyone can see these next couple of slides here. Simply put, executives were interviewed both last year and moving forward. 54% of them said that the lack of skilled production workers are going to be their #1 biggest priority. Moving forward by 2020, they estimate that's going to be an increase of 9%. Roughly 63,000 of them felt the same. Researchers and scientists towards the bottom there, engineers, roughly 33% of them felt that they were going to be in need of them, as well as 48% by 2020. Again, a pretty staggering number. A little bit more help to that point. The verbiage is a little small at the bottom, but basically this is a chart just demonstrating where folks see the largest need and where they see the most opportunity to help rectify that. Biggest picture and kind of what we're most optimistic about is this top one here. Internal employee training and development programs. 81% of executives felt that's the best way to address the welder and the skills trade gap. Certainly the lowest hanging fruit, of course. Upwards of 94% that kind of got the biggest bang for the buck there. Obviously, it's a pretty staggering number. I won't go into too much more detail because it's certainly a big deal, but this is kind of where we come in. both from a national level and certainly at each section. AWS, I will be mentioning this website towards the bottom quite frequently throughout tonight's presentation. Feel free to pull out your phones and log on to it as I'm going. It's ready to go, it's available, and obviously we want folks utilizing it. awo.aws.org, this is our educational content. This is where folks can find anything and everything associated with welding symbols, with fundamentals, with safety. Yes, sir.
What does AWO stand for?
Great question. American Welding Online. Thank you, Neil. A little bit about AWS and AWS Learning. It was originally conceived back in the middle of 2010. Roughly right now we have 11 asynchronous courses, over 200 modules of content. This goes into non-destructive testing, goes into fundamentals, goes into 2 levels of math, safety, symbols, and again, the non-destructive testing. We have roughly over 172 hours of content. All this content is available to anyone, anywhere, and at any time. Again, I mentioned pull out your phones. Feel free to utilize the content anywhere, at any time, and certainly by anyone. We're not going to address a skills gap and a knowledge gap without folks being able to readily access content. So again, this is something that is available. It's all written on an HTML5 platform. You can see it on an iPad. You can see it on a tablet. That type of machine as well. No, it's okay. Again, log on, see if it makes a noise, right? To that point, any laptop, of course, really, so long as you have a steady internet connection, you can be connected to our content and use it at any time. Of course, we do have some other products and services. Again, I'll certainly be talking about our online courses and our training libraries. We do have some virtual conferences that have been recorded and saved on our website for folks to log on to at any time, peruse, take advantage of, learn from as well. We have blogs and podcasts. We'll be talking a little bit towards the end about our online program called WeldLink. This is our version of LinkedIn for the welding industry. This is something that we certainly want everyone in this room and in every other room to log on to, create an account, post your information, your resume of your welding experience, of your manufacturing experience, and either help you get to a next level in your career, help you certainly in a school setting, provide school information, provide your information so that your next level education and workforce development can happen there. And of course, we do have a SENSE program. This is our schools excelling through national scholastic excellence. This is a welding curriculum, welding guidelines that are put together nationally. We want schools and educational ventures to go through that opportunity and really kind of be on that equity level there. Did anyone have any questions about some of those content? I'll be getting into a lot more of them in detail, but I'll certainly pause and speak to some of those now. Hearing none, I'll talk further.
A quick question.
Sure.
So on the CWI pre-seminar that's online.
Yep.
So is that, are you going to get books with that, like you do a class?
Nope.
Okay.
And ironically enough, that's the last slide on this
Okay.
on this slide here. I can talk certainly a lot about that. One of my biggest roles is to certainly make folks aware of that program and to promote it as well. It is a completely online program. There's not a single piece of paper associated with it. Maybe the receipt you print out once you purchase it, but no. I'll give you a quick second, Dave. It's an online program. It lasts for 72 hours. I recommend it's available for 90 days upon purchase, and I recommend that folks who do purchase it do kind of adhere to that 90-day rule. If you're going to be taking your seminar and your exam, kind of subtract 90 days from that date. Purchase the pre-seminar, use it, be it an hour or two a day, however often you can. Again, anyone, anywhere, at any time, any place. Certainly use it to that full ability. It's a 72-hour program. You do get 57 professional development hours for completing that program. So it's certainly something that, in addition to going to section meetings and being active within your respective district and sections, another great way to get professional development hours as well. There are 3 rounds of prep. Quick second. Professional development hours are basically continuing education credits that you can use towards your CWI recertification. It's information that folks definitely like to have for further AWS profiles, and certainly something that kind of demonstrates their continued interest in the profession there.
A blatant plug, this talk tonight would fit into the requirements of professional development hours.
Neil, I'm so happy you walked through that door since I opened it for you. Thank you. Yes.
So I have these forms here, so anybody who's trying to collect those, which I will be.
Sure.
Come by after the meeting and we'll get these completed.
I'm glad you walked through that door since I opened it for you. Attending section meetings are a great way to get those professional development hours on top of, great food and great folks and networking and everything else. Dave, you had a question earlier?
Is regarding the testing. A lot of folks tend to get nervous about CWI testing.
Sure.
And so the delivery of the content is what they're trying to do ahead of time. And some of the push is to get the book, get the physical copies, right?
Yep.
What you want to study.
Sure.
How does that play into any of this? Is there any online ability to say, I want to start studying now, not 90 days or any of that kind of stuff. I want to start studying now.
Sure.
And a year from now, I'm going to take the CWI test, 2 years from now, but I want it now. Now, I'm willing to pay a certain amount.
Sure. Well, let me just say we do have a promotion going on right now for folks in a similar situation to that. Should you purchase the pre-seminar either in concert with the seminar and exam or soon after, we do discount the price of the pre-seminar for you, but to that point, we do deliver to you your AWS specific code books prior to the beginning of your seminar. Obviously, that's within that 90-day period, but that's your body knowledge documents. That's the new edition of D11 if you're taking Part C to D11. It's not API 1104. That's
They're starting to deliver them at least 90 days early?
Absolutely, yeah. In fact, I would tell you right now, if you, hypothetically speaking, you log on, you purchase all three right now. Well, today's Friday, but in general,
They send you the books.
Absolutely, yeah. It's no more than a 2-week delivery time.
Good move.
Yep.
I can't tell you how many different emails or complaints I've got that I'm signing up for the test and I still don't have my book.
Sure.
And they don't even get them until they show up to
Until the first day of the seminar, correct. Yeah, it's something that we've gotten some great success with recently since that combo has been initiated. It's definitely something that, to tell you the truth, I don't really see changing for the near future. I could be very wrong, but I definitely think it's something that it'll remain there.
But you have
Yes, sir.
to sign up for the test to get them 90 days ahead of time?
You have to sign up for the CWI exam and a seminar, an AWS-led instructor seminar, online, throw in the pre-seminar to that either during that purchasing process or the week later or a couple of days later. But yeah, so long as you purchase all three, you will get that discount as well as your delivery of your code books beforehand.
Because I get a lot, just like you said, I get a lot of my customers asking. I don't have time this year
Sure.
to take it, but I really want the book because I only have so much time available. I want to read them. It's going to take me a year to read the book.
Right.
So they want to have at least a little bit of
Sure.
precursor ahead of time. And I mean, right now I could probably name at least 2 dozen shops that are saying the exact same thing.
Sure.
Like that. I mean, I'm in the same boat.
Of course.
So I mean, how do you go about that? Yeah.
Well, I can tell you, it's one of those things where we're experimenting with different variables. The foolproof way is just to buy them. Just buy them ahead of time. You're going to be getting them during your seminar anyway, or if you already have them, you'll have them going into it. But there are some other mechanisms that we're experimenting with. But right now, it's that 90-day combo promotion. You have a question?
I've heard rumors that AWS now has a 9-year seminar online. Is that true? They have one, but they will accept certain 9-year online?
To tell you the truth, I'm not familiar with an online 9-year program. There's a 9. I mean, I can't.
It's hard to, just from the
Sure.
titles, it's hard to tell that.
Let's go through the catalog a little later, and it'll shed some more light on that. I can also tell you too that for every CWI out there, we all learn differently, right? There might be some topics that folks are more stronger on than others, and to that point, yeah, maybe NDT isn't, but fundamentals is, or metallurgy. So it's that kind of it, and that's kind of why we put that together there. To that point, we do have fundamentals topics. We do have non-destructive testing, safety, symbols, metallurgy. There's a few of the topics that we have. Obviously, each one of those topics I just mentioned are available for immediate purchase. I do recommend for certainly for institutions, be it for labor unions, for industry, for schools, be it high school, community colleges, or for vocational programs, they do look at a component called our online educational libraries. I'll be speaking to some of those shortly, but simply put, for folks who just kind of want a head start or want to see some of that content, each one of these modules, that these topics rather that I just mentioned, are available for immediate purchase, both at the member and non-member rate. A few of the other topics that we have is our welding economics class. This gets really more in tune with our certified welding supervisor program, the cost resources, the economics of the welding processes. Again, for the welding supervisor, better economic knowledge on each of the said topics. We have a sales representative program. This is both an online and an in-paper component where folks can become a CWSR, and then of course that certified pre-seminar that we were just speaking about. I'll go through some of these next slides a bit quicker, just because within the library conversation there's a bit more content in them. This just gives a pretty articulate version of some of the topics we get into, and obviously the AV capabilities within them. The next slide just happens around enough to be a video. I don't have the video built into the PowerPoint, but there are some videos embedded into our programming. All of our programming is quite interactive. It's certainly not something that one can just click on, walk away from, click next, and obtain their hours. This is something that folks have to be, pretty knowledgeable on, and I'll mention this a little later too. But there's a way that Big Brother, so to speak, or your instructor, or your union officer, or your boss can check how often and how long you're spending on each module. So it kind of helps folks, prepare themselves as well. For obvious reasons, all of our content is built around the roughly 300 codes and standards that we put out in our welding handbook, our D11s, our A30s, our A24s, our welding handbooks. So to that point, it is something that we like to kind of keep, for obvious reasons, keep the information current. As you see on the slide here, both arc welding and brazing is highlighted. The applicable definition reads exactly as it reads from our documents. We want folks, again, speaking that same language, utilizing the content individually. The next slide here too, both this one as well as the following one, come right from our safety document. This is ANSI 49.1. This document, as well as the B21 BMG tables, the D1 erratas, all of the other free downloadable information just happens to be available on our website as well. Again, we want folks being able to obtain this information from a clear-cut, cleanly available, readily available program, again, at any time, anywhere, and on any device. The extent of our content, of course, gets pretty explicit. This obviously goes into our math, both our math and Math 1 for welders. And some of the other programs throughout the week I've always said, and simply put, I don't know the answer to this question, but if folks do, feel free to yell it out. I'll throw you a t-shirt and you can kind of have a little souvenir there. But to that point, I'll kind of pause for it. I'll also mention too that, and obviously the exact titles and listings are available within the catalog, but as you'll see, the math class is certainly quite extensive. It gets into a lot of content built into it. You're gonna ask something? Yeah. To that point, I'll just go on to the next. We do of course have welding symbols topics within our programming. Again, this is something where the computer would ask you, draw a groove weld, draw a butt weld, a fillet weld. It would rate you. They were going to tell you you're going to do it right. So to that point, it's certainly something that, again, we want folks being able to do things properly going into their schools, their union halls, their respective companies as well. Other products and services that we do have a blog. We do have a AWS podcast as well as an AWS newsletter. The blogs are updated and constantly uploaded new content every week. This also goes for our podcast as well. Folks can obtain all this information right from our website. Same thing with our newsletter, although that is published once a month instead of weekly. As you see, this just happens to be our blog. The resolution's a little shy, but as you can tell, there certainly is a lot of content that we get into. Again, this is updated weekly. Same thing goes for our podcasts and our newsletters on a monthly basis. Did anyone? Oh, yes. Any other questions?
Cost for these last 3 items?
Ooh, this is really going to break the bank. I don't like talking about this too much, but nothing. Absolutely nothing. This goes for both members, non-members, and anyone else in between. Sean, thank you for bringing that up. It costs you absolutely nothing to obtain this information. Dave?
I was basically just going to reiterate that all of this stuff so far is free.
Mm-hmm.
It's on the AWS website, and you don't have to pay until you start getting the individual modules.
Right. Each individual, the topics I mentioned a couple of slides ago are for purchase. There are some demo content, so to speak, available for free to kind of visualize and see how it look on your computer. But to your point, correct. Everything up until literally my next slide is for at no cost.
And then just to touch base again, the
Sure.
math section, I had a student that mentioned that they really need to go back and learn the basics.
Okay.
But they took my class, there's no prerequisites for my class, but I have certain assumptions that they know some basics in their class.
Sure.
How does a student online end up trying to solve some of those foundational math
Sure.
questions?
I can go about this in a couple ways. I honestly probably can go through the course titles with you and kind of show you which topics we get into within the Math 1 and Math 2. To that point, we teach it we teach it in the program. You literally see within the program the multiplication, the division, the fractions. We had a kind of a side conversation a little bit about that a little while ago. So simply put, that's certainly embedded into the programming. You'll see shortly within each and every one of our modules within the library is a pre-assessment, is the introduction and usage of the content of that said module, as well as a post-assessment, a post-quiz. There is a final exam at the end of every topic. So for the Math 1, for the Math 2, the non-destructive testing, there's going to be that final exam. I'll speak to this, literally next slide, but there is an AWS recognized, industry recognized certificate of completion that goes to each and every student, every individual that does complete each topic. This is, again, an industry recognized stackable credential. It certainly benefits the student, and in turn would also benefit the school, the union hall, the training and development arm of the company to say we have X amount of folks with AWS recognized credentials in fundamentals and safety. So again, I'll go into that a bit more in detail, but to your point, yes, we certainly get into many different levels of math, and obviously we'll kind of talk a little bit about that further a little later. Any other questions about the blogs, the podcasts, the newsletters there? Again, I mentioned each of those topics that I spoke of, the symbols, the safety, non-destructive testing. They are available for purchase. They are available at a 30-day duration plus another 10 for the exam. You do get professional development hours for completing them. You do get that certificate of completion I just mentioned. It's available for individual purchase. You want to get it, you can.
It's available for a limited time?
Correct. Only for 30 days.
But that's only the textbooks?
This is the online content.
That's content.
Correct. The modules, the pre-quiz, the post-quiz. To that point, if you're affiliated with a school, with a hall, with a company, we want folks utilizing what's on the screen here. These are our online educational libraries. This is an amalgamation of all of our content. This is each of those topics I just mentioned. It encompasses roughly 130 hours of content. 130 modules of content, 75 hours worth of programming. Again, it's designed for schools, vocational programs, career schools, community colleges, union halls, corporate training and development. I mentioned this to some other folks this week too, but as we all know, if a welding symbol is drawn incorrectly on a print and it goes out into fabrication and it's built, well, it's going to cost a lot of money to go ahead and repair that, or remediate it, and put the proper symbols out there and get the project done right. To that point, imagine a day when that didn't happen. Folks knew the proper symbol to put down going into it. So to that point, we want folks, be it at the high school level, to learn that information all the way through to their position at a hall or at a corporate training or a corporation there. Each of the modules last between 15 to 30 minutes. Some go a little longer, actually. They go maybe 40, 45, but to that point, they are pretty manageable. As I mentioned before, it's available to anyone, anytime, and anywhere. It's available on all types of platforms. Kind of got a little ahead of myself here, but certainly the modules do have that pre-assessment, the objectives of the program, the actual content itself, the reviews of it, as well as a post-assessment. I mentioned too that AWS certificate of completion. Again, it's an industry recognized stackable credential. This goes to every single student who gets it, or every individual who completes it after they get a 75% passing rating on that topic. This goes right into their resumes that they wanted it. It can certainly speak volumes for the company to say, again, we have X amount of folks with this said stackable credential. And of course, all of our content is developed by us, is aligned to our SENS standards, as well as is written by us and reviewed by subject matter experts in those fields, and certainly comes from our documents as well. I'll be remiss too if I didn't mention the benefits of the program for their instructors, the school instructors, as well as their administrators. Simply put, it's just a lot less work for you. It's a much more efficient and clean-cut way to teach your class, really augment your curriculum, augment your welding curriculum that you have at your institution, and certainly a lot more time with the students to make sure they're performing their work appropriately. Our content is customizable. Our library is customizable for each end user. Yes, sir.
Just for schools,
Mm-hmm.
do you have the ability that they can have this available to them in 90 days? Some of these.
So the timing of this program gets more into the cost of it, and I'll just kind of pause the presentation and talk a little bit about that right now. For folks who are interested in it, and for folks who kind of want to know that, simply put, it's available again for any of those institutions I just mentioned, not on the 30-day basis, but on a full year, or 2 years, or 3 years. We offer it on an annual subscription, again, the 1, 2, 3 year subscription, and we price it on a per student, per year rate, again, for each of the 1, 2, or 3 year subscriptions. Obviously, after tonight's presentation, I can certainly talk further with each and every one of you guys who are interested. I'll take some notes on a business card. I'll get back to you next week. It's just some soft pricing. You'll see kind of how you can work within your budget. Should that pricing be amenable to you, I can then provide you with complimentary demo access to the program. It's good for a month. Review it, see how the modules look on your respective devices, how it could be implemented in your program. If need be, I can of course walk you through in a webinar or a GoToMeeting. I mentioned this, of course, during my intro, but the reach band extension 333, certainly not a difficult one to remember, and I can certainly get in touch with you guys at any time while in the office to work you through that. Any other questions on that slide there? Okay. Again, the content is customizable, be it a hall or a corporation or even a career vocational school. We could always add school colors, mascots, and kind of jazz it up that way. We could also play around with the content and kind of make it a bit more user friendly or a bit more applicable to each of the institutions there. As you'll see right on the page here, this is a mock slide. This is David Hernandez's profile. This is just a mock calendar. His available courses that he has offered. The dashboard as far as the site pages applicable to his content. We mentioned non-destructive testing a little while ago. This is just a snapshot of what that program looks like. You'll see obviously in the next slide too a little bit more clear-cut information as far as how the content would look. Be it every module does have a transcript. This is to be in compliance with ADA requirements. For folks who would be in need of that, you can see a full narration of the content that we get into. Certainly every module also does have that glossary I mentioned before. Again, all the content does come from our own standards, our 830, our 824, our welding handbooks, our NCZ 49.1, same conversation we had a little while ago. Again, I'll go through some of these just a bit quicker. You kind of see the drill. Again, I mentioned the pre, the post quiz, the content in between. This is every single module. This is all 130 modules, all 75 hours of content does have this information within it. As far as grades go, this is just a mock administrator account. If Efram was this group's administrator, each and every one of you guys would have your listings within my account. On the next slide here, you also see just one of them. You click them, you see when folks signed on, you see what their records are. Again, this is just kind of a mock demo, but you can kind of see how clean cut the operation is. You click on that first pre-quiz, for example. You'll see that this individual logged in 8:06 a.m. You'll see his results. This is kind of that conversation I had a little while ago about being able to check up on folks and see how often they're on it, see what their grades are, see the utilization of the program. Again, as an administrator, or in this case as an instructor, you can of course download the results of your students' grades, be it an Excel spreadsheet, other downloadable files that will work within your device. So again, certainly an easier way to go about your classes, go about your training development. Certainly something that again will allow you more time with your students, with your respective employees as well. As I mentioned, some of the benefits, again, we kind of talked a little bit about the cost structure and how the program is structured that way. We mentioned a little while before the presentation that Simply put, folks are on their phones, they're on their iPads, they're on their tablets, their laptops and whatever else. This is just a way to, you know, if you can't fight them, join them kind of thing. Simply put, folks are utilizing this content already. We want folks to be able to, simply put, be able to learn welding while on their phones and while on their tablets as well. This is really meant to augment your curriculum. If you have content that you like utilizing, it's great. Have ours help do that. Simply put, a lot of folks have content that's a bit older than 2016. This is something that we feel can certainly help bring them a bit more current. This does adopt the flipped classroom model as well as blended classroom model. So this is something that if your institution, your school already utilizes, ours can certainly augment that as well. And again, I did talk a little while ago about that industry recognizable stackable credential. Again, that's for each and every topic that's completed. And that's a perfect example of it. Again, this is just the economics of welding, and for whatever reason my name didn't come up on that, but in general, you'll see this is what each individual user would get upon successful completion of that topic there. Any questions on the library before I get into the next benefit we have? Hearing none, I'll move on. WeldLink. We spoke a little bit about this a short time ago. WeldLink is our version of LinkedIn for the welding industry. This is a program that is free to use, both for an end user, for a school, for a union, for a corporate training arm or corporation in general. This is an operation that we want folks utilizing really to better themselves, make themselves more marketable, demonstrate their knowledge of welding, their stackable credentials that they've obtained, be it through our programming or through their school that they have affiliations with. We want folks to be able to, again, address a welder shortage, as we mentioned before, really kind of gets folks kind of out there and made their information aware. Our first slide gets into some of the default careers that are out there: supervisor, pipe welder, commercial divers, the new jobs that are posted to the program each day. A little bit of information, of course, about industry trends. Obviously, we're all AWS members. We all get the journal. We all see our online week in welding and our other, marketing type material. Our newsletter that I just mentioned a little while ago. Again, another kind of avenue to get some latest trends and latest information within the field. This is a great slide just as far as what the content would look like. Default name, you're John Smith. You live in Bellingham, Washington. You're an inspector at said company. You have your email address posted. You have your background available. When did you join AWS? I want to blend this slide a bit with my shadow here, but you'll see in the corner here how long you've been a member. Show off to the world that you're a life member, that you just started, that you're new to the group, or that you've been with for a decade or two. What type of certifications you have, how many, your skills, your knowledge, your education, where you got it. A couple slides from now, I'll show you some of the school pages and where that could be demonstrated. But simply put, your home page is the first avenue for other folks to see who you are. So that's definitely something you want to have. You want to have pretty sharp there. Again, your background, your job history. I'm not on Facebook, but from what I've heard, it does say that people would like you and then sees who you like, and is a little bit more information about your history of folks who have similar jobs or other job histories that you would be interested in. You'll see too some of those stackable credentials I mentioned before. Again, how long you've been a member, your education levels. You have 3 levels of education. Your respective knowledge. You have a degree in math. You have respective degrees in other welding topics. Next being gas tungsten arc welding. You'll also see a bit of information about each of these modules, each of these badges rather. Other folks who have said similar type badges as well. How to earn the badge, what types of requirements one would need to go through to obtain those. Just some general information about industry specific positions, be it a boilermaker, an iron worker, or a pipeline welder. And then, of course, you click on it, you'll have a little bit more information about them. If you want to become a welding inspector, this is under our Career Pathways program. Kind of says a little bit of information about the program, how one could do it, what types of knowledge and skills one would need to have to have a successful career within that. what the respective roles and responsibilities are for that program. Again, if you're looking to make a move, if you're looking to get into the field, this is one of the ways where we want folks to start that process and see what's out there. We're in the Pacific Northwest. We'll certainly start off with an aerospace, aeronautical and aerospace industry page. But obviously, if folks are interested in that industry, they'll click here. They would see kind of an overview. They would see some of the facts of information within them. Some of the like-minded industries, be it construction, be it oil and gas and shipbuilding. As I mentioned, it's free for companies to post their information as well. Again, XYZ company, where are you based, an overview of the positions. These are the ones that are active. How many folks have viewed the profile? In this case, it's over 2,000. The open positions, the folks who quote unquote like the company, in this case, those users, where are you located? Here we are in Portland. If you have operations here in Portland, in Baton Rouge, in Chicago, and Cincinnati, this is where you post that. You want folks to be able to see where you are. To that point, also, what types of jobs you have posted, the information that will go into them. When was this posting created? How long has it been open for? Again, really kind of a way to tailor fit your needs for the industry as well. I was kind of highlighting this one. What types of badges would be applicable for folks to go ahead and submit an application? Many folks don't even want to read an application if they're not qualified for it. And as a job seeker, you don't want to apply for something that you're not qualified for anyway. How about a way to demonstrate what knowledge is needed before you actually do it? In this case, is required. Your skills in measurement is required. Optional plasma cutter, as well as a bit of knowledge in ASME. Again, the default kind of play tool to do that. But again, this will kind of be where you can demonstrate that. Did you have a question?
Yeah.
Sure.
Just to confirm, this is connected to the labeling company?
No, this is separate. No, this is our version of it. This is a separate entity.
Okay,
Yep.
just in the welding.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. And to that point, we kind of wanted to harness that, again, AWS, but we would certainly want that harness to welding-specific positions, not just manufacturing or not just agricultural equipment or whatnot. This is really welding-specific. Obviously, those other industries will certainly touch on that now. Sure.
How long have you had that out, and how many people do you have?
Great question. We have roughly over 10,000 accounts that have been created. I want to say maybe this time last year, June, July-ish of last year, somewhere spring, summer of last year, kind of went live. My time with the program has been relatively limited, but I know it's been in the drawing phases for a while and the implementation of it for a while. Obviously, these types of conversations and my inclusion of it into the slides is really to get folks to create accounts and link themselves up with it. But again, to kind of keep that momentum going. Yes, Dave.
Seems like almost a hot topic for temp services or staffing agencies or companies that are doing a lot of recruiting for jobs in the industry.
Yep.
How does the security or how does the potential person creating a portfolio limit that, or is it completely open?
I mean, to that point, it's open. I mean, I would be brutally honest with you. I've had conversations with search firms and whatnot to literally have a look at this program. Find folks for their respective positions from this program. Maybe to that point, it only makes sense that if it's someone's job to find someone else a job, look for that type of resource. Sure.
So is this replacing jobs and welding?
Not yet. Not yet. I'd like to think that it's still working in concert with
Because
it.
it seems to be,
Very similar.
because to go to Dave's question about the security of it, with
Sure.
your jobs and welding site, you post a blank resume,
Mm-hmm.
and someone who's looking for someone reads your resume and doesn't know who you are or where you're living necessarily, and they don't know how to contact you. And then the AWS jobs and welding sends you the information about that prospective employer, and do you want to connect with them or not? So it's a blind resume, and you're complete. And this seems to me to be more of a Facebook version of that.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell you just from my perusal of careers in welding and jobs in welding, it's not nearly as clean cut as this. It's not nearly as user friendly on that front. It's a different kind of way of obtaining a job, of course. And to that point, I haven't heard of conversations where those two programs are going away.
Good.
Yeah.
Because if you want to be anonymous, but you want your skills out there,
Okay.
that one seems to be a better way to go. You know, until you start talking money.
Sure.
Like money, you know.
Gotcha, okay. Another question?
Have you connected with third-party apps, so you could connect to your LinkedIn, your Facebook?
Not yet, but it can be. It can be. I mean, simply put, I would recommend. If it was me, I would recommend you do it. Sure, you know, have the same content in both, definitely.
Yeah, I didn't know if it's some.
Sure. If there's a way to automate it, I mean, ironically enough, a couple of slides later, you'll see that blank type of resume where you would import your information, be it from a Word file or from a PDF. You know, export that from said document, put it into your jobs and welding profile, your welding profile. You know, kind of have that be your customizable form. But to that point, no, there's no symbiotic type of dealing just yet. Sure. Obviously, each position that you've applied for would be saved within your account, so you'll certainly see, you know, when you applied, how many folks have looked at your resume, the action, the response needed. A question came up in a recent presentation where if this information can be utilized for folks who are unemployed that need to demonstrate, you know, proof of a job search, that is something that staff has been looking into since, and certainly from an IT perspective, can't foresee it being too big of a issue to rectify, but obviously, you know, one that we'd certainly want to help folks to be able to take care of there. To that point, this is that this is that blank resume. This would be that exportable file, be it a Word file or a PDF that you can take from your PC, from your laptop, customize and put into your program there. Again, I mentioned schools. If you're a school and you want to have your account, nothing stopping you. Please, in fact, we encourage it. What type of courses do you offer? Are you a SEND school? What type of badges you can obtain? So, a couple of slides from now, but what type of badges you can obtain from completing your courses? Where you're located? The folks who are users or Facebook likes, so to speak, folks who are affiliated with you. Again, what type of courses you can take, what type of modules, and what type of badges are obtained through completing it. When are your courses offered? You know, folks probably want to know if they're going to go to a school when they need to be there. In this case, welding technology is offered on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Again, what type of badges and what types of certificates of completion you can obtain from completing them. Obviously, if you're in Portland, Oregon, or Boise, Idaho, or Manhattan, you should kind of want to know where you can find a school that fits your needs, and we want folks to be able to utilize this program to do that. Type in by zip code, by your location, by a keyword. Obviously, the schools who would be matching your requirements and matching your skill sets would be available once you complete that. As of right, sure.
How does a particular school get on there, and do they need to be purchasing or investing in the program in order to be listed?
My understanding is that it's free. We want folks to be able to utilize this. So to that point, just go to aws.org//weldlink. It's right on our education tab. I can kind of walk you through the process after tonight's meeting too, but again, it's certainly something that we want folks utilizing. There are roughly 500 badges, 500 types of programming that we have there, 11 career pathways, 5 industry pages. This is just to start off with. These are registration pages as well as many are our main content pages as well. Some of the items that we're looking at for future development are to have an app similar to a LinkedIn or Career Builder or whatnot. This app would be compatible with Apple, with Android, Google, and whatnot else. An automated email tool reminding folks as far as when they applied or other positions that would be similar to the ones that they're interested in. We want to expand internationally. We're certainly talking here in the Pacific Northwest, and as far as there's positions in Canada that folks in the U.S. would be applicable for, we want folks to be able to apply for those as well. Same thing if we were in San Diego and look for a position in Tijuana or points south of there. Did you have a question?
Just North America?
For right now, yeah. But I can't see why, you know, other English predominant languages and then other English, you know, predominant countries like the UK or Australia or New Zealand eventually couldn't be a part of that, sure.
The jobs in welding site that they do have in the national program. Yeah, and you can also just peruse what new jobs have been posted, and then go put in a zip code or a country that you're interested in. And then those jobs will come up first.
Again, we are looking to continue grant funding for the program. So again, to build the program enough so that there's that avalanche of efforts going into it. What type of deliverables we have? We have great partnerships with labor unions, the ironworkers, carpenters, the Boilermakers, as well as the UA. We certainly want folks within that realm to be able to post their apprenticeships and what types of matching programs could be offered in that. These next couple of slides get into the apprenticeship program. Of course, how folks can find them, the search options, again, the geographic location, the salary information that folks can obtain through those apprenticeships, what types of badges that they would need, their background. Again, this would just be a general ABC type of resume, but a little bit more information about how that program could help folks within an apprenticeship matching program. Obviously, again, the applicable postings, the delegate invitations, the respective users associated with each apprentice. Obviously, the active opportunities and how folks would want to be able to communicate with the folks who are posting it, their confirmation notifications, their rejection notifications, how best to customize that for them. Simply put, again, this is a new program for us, but we've got some great feedback from it already. Obviously, it's events like these where we want to hear feedback from folks, and we want folks to create their accounts and utilize them as well. Again, we're not going to adjust to 240,000 welder shortage without folks getting into the program, getting into a union hall, getting into a school, into a company that will really kind of help address that shortage. Simply put, I'll entertain any questions, be it about the programming. I mentioned, of course, we have roughly over 300 codes and standards that we're responsible for putting together. These are all ANSI codes and standards. They all meet their applicable essential variables. Again, it's kind of where I started, so I can certainly talk further with you guys about those programming. Obviously, the CWI pre-seminar, or other online content that we're responsible for. I always have a great time doing these presentations and certainly talking with folks. Again, if anyone else has any questions, they can certainly talk to me throughout tonight's kind of meeting. Obviously, anyone has any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. From tonight on. My contact information is here. I still have a few business cards left from this week too. So if anyone has any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Thank you again for your time. Thank you.
And in case you don't know it, on the phone number, 443-WELD.
Oh, good answer. I always forgot to mention that. I'm going to steal that from you.
And also, you were going to comment about the show.
Oh, so sorry. I always get caught up in these. Guys, we're on the West Coast, and it's not every year. And it's not every year that FabTech is also on the West Coast. This year, FabTech is in Las Vegas. It's this November, I believe, the 12th through the 14th, 10th through the 14th, somewhere else around there. Usually that second, third week. It starts the Monday, it ends usually that Wednesday. It's a great show. I think this year will always, yet again, be another record-breaking year, bigger and bigger and bigger. For those who have been to FabTech before, you can certainly talk to those who haven't, but it's a great event. And
it is so worth the time.
Yeah.
Well,
and
just a live demonstration.
And I strongly recommend anybody on the West Coast go, because that gets the show back here every once in a while.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because for folks who are new to AWS and new to the fold, FabTech is not in Vegas every year. It's in Chicago every other year. It alternates between Atlanta, Chicago, and Las Vegas. We try to appeal to be at the southern market, the Midwestern market, or in this case, the Western market. Right. To that point, it's obviously something that we want more folks coming to. And
Las Vegas has the advantage of having all the international training centers for the trainers.
Yeah.
For all the meetings.
Carpenters have a huge one there. That's true.
Yeah.
Yep.
They did the CWI exam at the CITC.
Yep.
My last 3 pieces of equipment from the shop, I had researched that.
No kidding.
And not purchased them there, but got gift paid for the purchase of them. Actually, well, I did actually.
It's a great. If folks haven't been, it's the Super Bowl of welding shows. It's a ton to see.
They
Obviously,
have good free stuff.
There's some swag.
I was going to find stuff. I mean, all the booths always have trinkets to give away, little stress balls and
Candies.
yep.
Keychains, thumb drives.
But if you're a potential
thumb drive.
customer,
But-
and you're looking at something, the bracelets or this or that, they're trying to try it
Oh,
out.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Helmets, shipping.
There's usually raffles too. You can
Excellent.
win a welding hood, win a piece of equipment, win a smaller one of course. But
The
sure.
thing that amazes me is that you always see developing welding processes there before they really hit the market.
Yeah.
I think the first time I saw friction stir welding was at one of those shows.
Sure.
Before it was even being done, it was all the way to.
No kidding. No kidding.
So, it's been a great show.
Later 2 days to walk the floor.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Both halls too. Both halls at the.
Rare.
Yeah, 2 days definitely, Lincoln, definitely a big supporter of FatTech as well. They
Sure.
have the Virtual welding,
The
semis that
Vertec
we
machine
bring.
too. Yep.
Definitely want to encourage that.
I'm sure AWS will have the AWS trailer there.
I can't speak to its location for this year, but I do know that it's on the rotation throughout the country, all year round. For folks who haven't gone to our Careers in Welding trailer, definitely pay to visit. It is literally a tractor trailer, all dedicated to virtual welding machines, welding equipment. Again, welding is not the dirty industry maybe it once was. This is a way that we want to attract folks to get into the industry and obviously address that welder shortage that I mentioned earlier. Little giveaways and whatnot, but it's always a fun deal. If folks are active in this section, you'll see it throughout the country too. The Careers Welding Trailer goes to events all nationwide.
Efram, how
Sure.
often are you out on the West Coast?
Depends. I do travel a fair amount. Again, I definitely feel that the face-to-face interaction is certainly sacrosanct to that. But I'm always I'm always available by phone and email. Simply put, it's something that I constantly go to a lot of the other trade shows too. AS&T, that was just in Salt Lake City over the fall, and for those who were there, you certainly saw me at FabTech as well, and so yeah. But obviously, I can certainly come out. Moving forward, there's been a few other folks who have expressed interest in me making another trip. So, and obviously, folks are always welcome to come to headquarters if folks haven't been. It's in this case, relatively brand new facility, but it's certainly one that's ever expanding. We're constantly, again, with WeldLink and everything else, we're constantly expanding with new opportunities and new areas for development, and it's because of folks like you guys who put that all together and make it the best happen is why I'm able to do this. So, sure. Miami. Yep. Go on now. Absolutely. Yeah. Sure.